This video is just going to be a quick walkthrough of the Excel table that I used in the article. The article talks about magnification of equity value through the use of leverage. So basically it's explaining how when you put down a smaller amount of a down payment or use more debt or leverage, the greater return you're going to get on your property. So the chart here has the red line, which is high debt, 80% LTV, which means you put 20% down. That means if the property appreciates 5%, your equity return is 25%. And we're going to look at this in the table and do a couple other numbers to see how that plays out as well. So the Excel table here just starts with the value of $100,000. We're going to appreciate it by 5%, get our new house value, calculate the equity gain, and then the equity gain percentage. So on the left, we have our various levels of debt, from no debt, which is 100% cash, all the way up to a house hack, which is 96.5 debt level or 3.5% down. That's really some of the highest debt you can get except for VA loan, which would be 0 down and 100% debt essentially. So our equity gain is going to be exactly the same throughout. Our equity gain is going to be the new house value, which is $105,000, minus our initial value, which was $100,000. So when we calculate this for each of the examples, it's a straight $5,000. The equity gained is the exact same. So we're going to see how the amount of debt we have right here, 0, 30, 60, 80, or 96%. Remember, the debt is how big your loan is, or the opposite of the percent down that you put is a down payment. So a 0% debt level is 100% down, or that just means you paid cash for the house. Now, what kind of equity gain do we get? Our equity gain here is $5,000, which is the gained value of our equity divided by the initial equity, which is the 100% cash that we paid for the $100,000 house. So when we do the math, 5,000 divided by 100,000, that's a 5% equity gain. Let's do the same thing for low debt, which is 70% down or 30% debt. Same thing, we have $5,000 of a gain. Divide that 5,000 by our initial equity, which was the down payment or the initial investment we made of 70,000. Divide those and we have 7%. Keep going. Let's divide our $5,000 equity gain. Now what if we do a medium debt? This is 60% debt or 40% down. 5 divided by 40, 13%. So now we have almost 3 times the amount of the equity gain that we had if we did 100% cash when we lever it up 60% and only put 40% down. Divide by our 5,000 here. In this case, our down payment's only $20,000. So when we get a $5,000 gain on a $20,000 investment, now that math should make some sense. It's 25%. Why? Because 5,000 is 25% of 20. And that's where we really start to see the power of debt or taking on a mortgage for an investment property. We have the same sort of minimal growth here, the 5% being $5,000, adding it to a $100,000 house is not really a ton of actual extra cash in our pocket, but the return here is really high. 25% return is really great. Lastly, if we look at our house hack, take our $5,000, we only invested $3,500. So we invested a little over half what the entire equity gain is. So we should see over 100% gain. In this case, we see 143% of equity gain when we use our house hack to lever up 96.5% and to gain 143% on our investment. Now, the last point is notice the difference in the percentages versus the actual gain, right? $5,000 might not be life-changing money. So we should be aware that we have the same exact dollar amount, but the actual gain here based on the amount of money we put in the deal is way higher percentage-wise. Now, if we sort of extrapolate this, let's say we had $100,000 to invest, we could buy 5 houses using high debt and get a 25% return on each of those 5 houses instead of investing it all in one house to get a 5% return. And that's how you grow your portfolio using debt to really maximize your returns using leverage over the long term. If you like this video, then find me and follow me on Twitter at Cleveland Curmudgeon. Check out my website, clevelandcurmudgeon.com, for real estate and personal finance articles. And finally, go to ccrealestateacademy.thinkific.com, where you can learn how to use Excel to analyze an offer on profitable real estate deals.